Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Rachel. We're good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So to start, I love, this version of the Turtles that we saw in the movie because Donnie was always my favorite, and I love the new version of Donnie a lot. But I also think it's just a fun world to get to live in. And when you guys are bringing those turtles into a show and bringing a new generation into this franchise that people have loved for decades now, how do you guys kind of navigate what you make as original as can be versus like staying true to what older fans might know as the turtles?
Chris, you want to take that one?
I I think that like coming off of Mutant Mayhem, Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and Point Grey, they and Jeff Rowe like created something like so fun and different. Like we've seen many versions of the Turtles before, and they've all been great in their own way. But this one really focuses on them being teenagers first and foremost. Aside from being green and having shells, like largely they are kids. They're kids just like you and me. They watch the same TV shows, they listen to the same music, like they could not be less different from us other than the obvious ninja abilities. And I think that like our show is really a continuation of that and a celebration of it. Like we're gonna put them in weirder situations and like, like we're gonna spend a lot more time with them as a group, but also as individuals. Like I think that this show, kind of like what we wanted to do and make it different was like let's put these kids on a big adventure and separate them and break them apart and see how they react, without their brothers by their side.
Yeah, and like you said, they are separated. How was that for you guys creatively to get to look at Leo by himself and Donnie by himself and Raph by himself and see kind of how these characters all interacted just on their own? Like, did it unlock something about those characters for you guys when you got to kind of see them when what they did alone?
Yeah, for us in terms of making those episodes, like we finally get to I in the previous versions of Turtles, it's always ensemble, but when we're looking at these turtles in these individual episodes, it highlights their strength, weakness, and then also we through those episodes we realize how the turtles complement each other, because like in some of the episodes they actually choose to compensate some of those character flaws by mimicking their brothers. So when we have those reunion moments, we truly see what a great family team this bunch is. So yeah, I thought it was very fun to tell stories where like the others are not involved and how we solve problems just using one.
Yeah, and just to add to that challenge, like, like one of the great things about them being together is they can talk to each other, and when we split them up, it's just like, wouldn't it be great if they could talk to somebody? So part of the fun has been like, pairing up like Leo and April, and, again, like we've got the amazing Io as the voice of April, and she's phenomenal and so much fun, like I think Raph, we get to team up with the Purple Dragon, I think Donnie actually goes toe to toe with Bishop, as one of the first mutants to kind of directly interact with her played by the amazing Ilana Ubach. And then Mikey gets to team up with Pete Davidson, which turned out to be pretty fun. So
And Mike,
it opened up a lot of opportunities.
and Mikey gets Pete Davidson. But I wanted to talk about April because I do love this version of April O'Neil. I think she's so determined in a way that we have seen in the past, but it's a different kind of determination that she has. And it's very fun to kind of see as someone who grew up watching a different version of the Turtles to see how cool this take on it is. When you got to write for Io and this version of April, did you guys work at all to kind of create how that April differed from other Aprils in the past, or were you guys kind of like, no, this is the vision we have going into this?
I mean, I think that the movie did such a great job with her. Like, like really our mission goal was to keep that going more than anything else. And I mean, again, working with Io directly on it, like she knows that character. Really, it was, and she's so smart and so funny that you could just put her in a booth and have her go. Like she brings so much to it. But I mean, again, like April is a strong character. She's a driven character, and but she's still a teenager too. So we didn't want to lose sight of that either. Like, she's freaked out by an army of killer robots just as much as anybody else would be.
Yeah, and for a last question I want to ask is like you said, and if you watch the movie and they'll know going into the show, they are very, very much teenagers. More so than I think any other Ninja Turtles have been. Like these are like the most teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I've ever seen. What was your guys' each favorite part of getting to really lean into that teenage angst and that teenage energy with these turtles?
Uh, for me, it's just like, they get to be really silly. Like their solves are like, true to how a teenager, like they see a robot, like in the midst of it, something they will get distracted, just like a teenager, or they notice certain things that, you know, their reactions to like danger, it's very, like it just generate comedy immediately. So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I think that like the job is to make sure that they're reacting as teenagers first and foremost, right? So when four killer robots surround them, their first thought isn't like, oh God, killer robots. It's like, dang, those things are cool. It's just like, that's pretty sweet, dude. Would you make this in a garage? I think that like really keeping in mind that how they would react to everything in every situation isn't much different than a normal kid.
Yeah, I love seeing it. I love these turtles so much. I told Mike, I was like, I have a little Donnie, like this version of Donnie that sits on my dresser because I loved him in that movie and I love him in the show. So thank you guys so much. And I can't wait for everyone to get to see it.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you. Have a great one.